Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Psych Talk. Today I will talk about bipolar disorders. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We're called Psych Talk Pod, and you can find the link on our YouTube channel. Okay, so let's get into it. I will talk about the differences between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. And obviously, these are mood disorders and they can significantly impact a person's life. And if not taken care of, it can be extremely dangerous for the person with the disorder, and it can impact obviously people in their life a lot. But first of all, what is bipolar disorder? So bipolar disorder is characterized by extreme mood swings that can include that has to include manic episodes, which are periods of high energy and activity, and depressive episodes, which are periods of low mood and energy. I will start talking about bipolar 1 first. So, bipolar 1 is defined by at least one manic episode that lasts for at least 7 days. And it can be so severe that sometimes requires hospitalization. And it can look like imagine someone who's speaking extremely rapidly, jumping from one idea to the next, and appears to have literally boundless energy. They're extremely hyper, and they might stay up for days without feeling tired, not sleeping at all, start big projects that can't realistically finish, or spend large amounts of money impulsively. So, for example, a person might suddenly decide to quit their job and start a new company overnight, believing that they'll become a millionaire in a week despite having no prior business experience. They might also gamble a lot and think, oh, I will make the money later on. It's not a problem that I stole my money right now. The symptoms are elevated or irritable mood, grandiose ideas, so thinking they have superhuman abilities, thinking they are extremely smart, extremely beautiful, and they obviously have a decreased need for sleep. They might literally just sleep for like an hour or not sleep at all for days and still have this extremely high energy mood. They might engage in risky behaviors like reckless spending or have a lot of unsafe sex. They might engage in, like during these mania episodes, they might engage in, they might have sex with different partners during the same day. And yeah, that was the mania, how mania can look like. Now let's talk about the depressive episodes in bipolar 1. So in contrast, the same person might later become extremely withdrawn, unable to get out of bed, feeling hopeless, and even contemplating suicide. An example could be they stop answering calls, they isolate themselves from friends, and they struggle to find motivation, like to shower or eat. And so basically, a person with bipolar 1 disorder, they have episodes of mania and episodes of, they have depressive episodes. And the episodes of mania, they look like they have a lot of energy, they're talking fast, they look a little bit crazy and off to people, obviously. And these depressive episodes, they look like they're like very low, they don't want to socialize, they don't want to get out, they don't have motivation to do anything. And if you get hospitalized while having a manic episode, that means that you have bipolar 1, because bipolar 2, you don't get hospitalized for having hypomanic episodes because they're not as severe. And so if you get hospitalized, that means that you have bipolar 1. Anyway, now let's get into bipolar 2. So, as I said before, bipolar 2 involves hypomanic episodes, so they're less severe than full mania, and major depressive episodes, so they're long-lasting and debilitating. So how does it look like? Hypomania is like a milder version of mania, so the person might seem very cheerful, energetic, and productive. They may feel on top of the world, but not to the point where their behavior is dangerous or causes major life disruption. That is why they do not end up hospitalized. An example might be someone might stay up all night, organizing their house, feeling super accomplished, but not realizing they're overexerting themselves. They obviously have this increased energy and creativity, talkativeness, mild impulsivity, buying an expensive gadget. Yeah. How does the major depressive episode look like in bipolar 2? So it can look more severe in bipolar 2 than bipolar 1, and the person may feel completely overwhelmed by sadness or unable to function in daily life. An example might be they might cry uncontrollably, feel worthless, or even have recurring thoughts of death or suicide. Yeah, it seems more like the depressive symptoms might seem more severe than in bipolar 1. But in bipolar 1, the mania is more severe than in bipolar 2. So now let me summarize the key differences between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. So the manic episodes in bipolar 1 are, it's called full mania, and they're very severe and disruptive. In bipolar 2, it's called hypomania, and they're like mild and manageable. The depressive episodes in bipolar 1, they may or may not occur, but in bipolar 2, they must occur, and it's usually more severe. And bipolar 1, it's often more severe, and bipolar 2, often less intense overall. So let me give you some examples of how a manic or hypomanic episode can look like. So for bipolar 1, imagine a college student that suddenly stops going to class and spends literally all of their savings on buying clothing and going to parties, convinced that they're about to become like a famous influencer. They don't sleep for days in a row, and their behavior becomes so erratic that their family seeks emergency care. For bipolar 2, let's say a writer feels these like energy and like a lot of energy and writes 50 pages of a book in one night. And they feel incredibly focused and excited, but their friends notice they're speaking faster than usual and are slightly irritable when interrupted. And the depressive symptoms, the depressive episodes for both types, whether bipolar 1 or 2, they can look very similar. So the same person might later feel so hopeless and exhausted, and they can cancel all their plans, struggle to eat, and feel like they're a burden to others. An example of like a manic episode or something that can look like a hypomania or manic episode might be like, what's his name? Oh my God, I forgot his name. Bradley Cooper? Bradley Cooper? In Limitless, when he obviously he didn't have bipolar disorder, but he had that extreme like superhuman energy because of the pill that he was taking. But that's how it can look like, right? And people with bipolar disorders, unfortunately, they have to take medications because otherwise, this manic episode they're going to reoccur. And the medication that they can take are mood stabilizers like lithium, antipsychotics, and antidepressants that can help regulate mood swings. Obviously, therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and psychoeducation helps individuals understand and manage their condition. And also lifestyle management, so obviously maintaining regular sleep, getting enough hours of sleep, at least 8 hours per day, exercise, and also stress reduction routines. And yeah, you can have many things in place that can help you manage bipolar disorders. Also wanted to mention that people with bipolar disorder, they are more likely to commit suicide when they're going into a manic episode. So they're just coming out of the depression. And the reason being is because they actually have the motivation and the energy to commit suicide. So let's say you're having this manic episode, right? And you're feeling great. You have all this energy. You have this grandiose sense of self. and then you get into these depressive episode, that can be very catastrophic and very confusing. And so because of these high, like, mood swings, it can literally like lead to suicidal thoughts. And let's say you're having this manic episode, then a depressive episode, and during the depressive episode you're thinking about um, suicide. Then when you're gonna commit suicide is when you get into again another manic episode because you have the energy to do so. I wanted to mention that also family and marital therapy can help, because if a client has bipolar disorders, it probably affects everyone around them. And so if you can bring the family into therapy, or um, your partner, they can become more supportive and understanding because they can have some psychoeducational background. Um, yeah, so they might understand the disorder better and help you out remembering to take medications and um, etc. So obviously many people wonder, is it nurture, is it nature? And the answer is always both, in the sense that obviously many disorders, um, they develop if someone is genetically predisposed to it and if a family member has it. But they can express themselves when a major stressor happens in their life. So let's say you're more predisposed to get bipolar disorder, right? But you have never experienced a manic episode or hypomanic episode and you're fine. And then a major stressor happens into your life, then obviously that gene can be expressed compared to someone who doesn't have the gene and a major stressor happens in their life, and because of that they do not develop they don't do not yeah, they do not develop this mood disorder because they don't have the gene for it. And so there are some protective factors, of course, such as healthy attachment to at least one parent. You might not have both, a healthy attachment with both parents, but if you have at least with one parent, it's a protective factor. Resiliency, it's very important, or the type of personality that you have since a child, your temperament, I will say. And yeah, those can be protective factors. And that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube. And if you're listening from YouTube, Spotify. And that is it. Thank you so much for listening.